Hello there, I'm Lloyd Evans. Welcome to The Bunker. As many of you know, I like to keep a close eye on the talks and speeches given by governing body members, the leaders of the Jehovah's Witness faith. One such person in particular stands head and shoulders above the rest, in my opinion, in his ability to speak thoughtlessly and express his own arrogance. And that's, of course, Tony Morris, or Anthony Morris III. After watching the latest morning worship video to be uploaded to jw.org, I thought it was high time we do another in the Taking on Tony series, this time covering some interesting remarks made by Tony regarding parental love. Bear in mind that this morning worship talk was given by Tony all the way back in 2017, September 20th to be precise. My friend Arthur Webber was able to confirm this after checking for me. So these are by no means recent comments, but there's still some interesting material for us to consider. So without further ado, let's roll the first clip.
This morning I thought we'd talk about why we love Jehovah so much. Now, obviously there are basic fundamental reasons we love him, and let's turn to Acts chapter 18 and just mention the A part of the verse as to why we love him. And verse 28 of Acts chapter 17, for by him we have life and move and exist. So we love him because we love life. We're grateful that we're able to move and that we exist. And when you think about it, this beautiful earth that Jehovah created continues to sustain humans with food and water. So just fundamental.
I find fascinating the entire concept of Tony telling Jehovah's Witnesses why they love Jehovah. Not why he personally loves Jehovah, but why they should automatically, by default, love the God he conveniently claims to represent, along with the other governing body members. And the reason he has given has nothing to do with Jehovah having endearing qualities. According to Tony, you should damn well love Jehovah because he made you. He has allowed you to exist. Therefore, you should spend the rest of your life that Jehovah has given you worshipping him and expressing your gratitude. Well, I'm sorry, I no longer find that reasoning compelling. I didn't ask to be created any more than my daughters asked for half of my DNA so that they could be born. Simply being brought into existence by someone is not in and of itself a reason to love them. Love and respect should always be earned.
Really, why we love him so much, it gets much more personal than just these things that keep us in existence. When Jehovah is like a loving father to us, and when he's real, and when we feel confident he's listening to our personal, private prayers, that strengthens us to continue on and to endure. Now, it's the case with some of God's people, including some raised around the truth. They didn't have a loving human father during their childhood. The reasons and details as to why a father wouldn't love their own child are numerous, but never justified. Now, the evidence is often that people that suffer from having experienced this lack of love, sadly, they grow up with being filled with negative thinking. They can become consumed with negative thinking, and then their life becomes like a roller coaster of emotions, and they find it very difficult to face each day.
If, like me, you're watching this talk as a former Jehovah's Witness, there is a massive elephant in the room at this point in Tony's talk, namely that one reason parental love routinely evaporates in the Jehovah's Witness faith is because Jehovah's Witness parents are commanded to shun children who are either disfellowshipped or disassociated. As a governing body member, Tony is one of a small number of men who is personally responsible for families being broken apart by this cruel practice, and for shunned individuals being consumed with negative thinking and finding it difficult to face each day. But because he's completely insensitive to the plight of such ones, his words here are hopelessly tone deaf and lacking in self-awareness. How on earth do you bemoan situations where parental love is lacking when you are personally responsible for parents ceasing to love their children on religious grounds?
So let's take a look at Psalm 34, and most of us are very familiar with this verse, but let's think about it. Verse 18, Jehovah is close to the brokenhearted. He saves those who are crushed in spirit. Now, we love this verse, especially if we went through difficulties, or as I mentioned, didn't have a father that displayed love. That can break a heart. And the individual can feel crushed in spirit, totally discouraged, unable to face basic things in life. Now, to illustrate that, I thought I'd just show you this beautiful crystal here of two birds. Isn't that a beautiful piece there? And I'm being careful because it's really my wife's. You know, what's mine is hers, and what's hers is hers. No, it's just teasing. It is absolutely adorable, these two birds in this crystal. Now, if you were to take a hammer, large hammer, and smash it, see, that's the idea of crushed in spirit. So you start to get the feeling for what some of us have experienced, crushed in spirit. And the reason we love Jehovah so much is he actually is at the power, and because of his love, to put the pieces back together so that we can go on and continue to love him, worship him for eternity. It's just a wonderful creator, our Heavenly Father, Jehovah. That's why we love him so much. And he's the only one that can do that.
This was a really odd part of the talk. Apart from being mildly misogynistic in appealing to the trope of the unreasonable, possessive wife who doesn't fully share her belongings, it's also a self-indulgent and frankly rubbish illustration or visual aid that insults the intelligence of the audience. Tony, we don't need you to shove a glass ornament in our faces and speak at length about it in order to understand the concept of something being crushed. This, for me, is yet another example of infantilization in Jehovah's Witness propaganda material. Whether he's doing it knowingly or just through sheer incompetence, infantilization is a proven manipulation technique. If you repeatedly talk down to your audience as though they are children, they will start to act like children and become increasingly dependent on you for guidance.
Isaiah 49, and notice here in verse 15, Jehovah says, "Can a woman forget her nursing child, or have no compassion for the son of her womb? Even if these women forget, I would never forget you." So let's just think about this. The question's raised, can a woman or a mother, it's their nursing child, can they forget them? Well, the news indicates they continue to do that. It's just heartbreaking to hear about a mother left their child in car on a hot day and then the child dies. Often they're nursing age. So it can happen. It does happen. However, most of the time, that's why Jehovah uses this comparison, a mother is just an amazing part of a child's life. Just to illustrate, when my sons were young, both of them, because they're about a year and a half apart, so one was an infant and the other about a year and a half, thereabouts. And at the time we lived in a second floor apartment, and next to us was a train track. So it wasn't that there was always trains going by, but this certain fast train coming from New York to Providence, Rhode Island, would just come by late at night, early in the morning, pre-dawn, and the house would vibrate. That's how close we were to the track. But the rent was good, and it helped with being able to make ends meet. Well, that would wake me up every time. And I'd hear that, and the train, and the house vibrating. However, my wife Susan would sleep right through it. Didn't bother her. The train went by, and I'd look over and like, boy, if I could do that, you know. However, whenever one of those sons cried out, I don't care what hour it was, she shot out of that bed and was over there. And I'm trying to come to as to why she moved. But that's the love of a mother that Jehovah's emphasizing here. Anyone that, thinks about that, that always deeply impressed me, that this is what Jehovah is talking about with mothers, how they love their children. And it's just very touching. Never forgot it. And anyone that had a mother like that should be very grateful to them. If you haven't thanked them lately, be a good idea to do so.
Yes, be thankful to your mother and show her appreciation. Just remember to never send her flowers on Mother's Day, because that would be pagan creature worship and glorification of humans. Aside from yet more mild misogyny, with Tony appealing to one of a number of Bible verses that portrays women as little more than baby-making factories, again, there's a massive elephant in the room here. Tony is among 8 men who are directly responsible for mothers around the world routinely shedding their maternal instincts, purging themselves of their maternal love and devotion, and treating their children as though they no longer exist, purely on ideological grounds, purely because they no longer live up to or believe Jehovah's Witness teachings. Make no mistake, if either of Tony's 2 sons, Jesse and Paul, had ever at any point stopped believing the Jehovah's Witness indoctrination that was so obviously pummeled into them from birth, Susan Morris and Tony would have dropped them like a ton of bricks. They would be shunned and treated like outcasts, no matter how many sleepless nights Susan was willing to go through while raising them. This is a religion that makes parents forget the inbuilt love they have for their children. It's because I've experienced for myself the thrill of helping bring a child into the world and feeling that rush of love and affection for them, albeit as a father rather than as a mother, that I personally cannot comprehend how easy it is for so many Jehovah's Witness parents to submit to the shunning command, particularly in the case of my own father, who still hasn't met my 2 girls. Of course, there will always be the issue of cult mind control and undue influence. Of course, my father's mind is not his own. But on a human level, I could never imagine, as a father myself, ever being persuaded to not talk to my children anymore over a simple difference of opinion. It's just unthinkable. And here in this talk, we have insult being added to injury. The fact that Tony and his governing body colleagues don't give a second thought to the devastation they cause in family after family, relationship after relationship, even to the point where they can bemoan parental neglect while failing to connect the dots with shunning, is yet another reason why this is a cruel, abusive organization. When you apply even the mildest scrutiny, you quickly learn that the love that never fails, boasted of by Jehovah's Witnesses, is paper-thin and vanishes the moment the authority of Tony and his pals gets questioned.
Now, the reason we love Jehovah so much when considering this verse is because Jehovah is comparing the tender love of a mother to his love. And he makes the point, because obviously it happened down through history, these women can forget. Some can become that selfish and other reasons and forget the nursing child, but Jehovah will never forget you. He'll never forget me. So frankly, regardless of our past, whether it was a good upbringing or not, we can exhibit joy because we love Jehovah so much.
Jehovah will never forget you. He'll never forget me. So says Tony Morris. Well, I guess I can agree with you, Tony, that you're unforgettable, but for all the wrong reasons, I'm afraid. Tony Morris is truly a unique specimen. In Tony Morris, we have the embodiment of arrogance, self-importance, delusion, and thoughtlessness. Goodness knows why these words of his, spoken all the way back in 2017, have been deemed so important that we need to be hearing them now in 2022. But I suppose it's just as well, because what Tony has said will be disturbing for many who are watching. His lamenting of parental neglect and abandonment will surely haunt many Jehovah's Witness parents watching who have themselves been manipulated into neglecting and abandoning their children in favor of their faith. And any disfellowshipped ones who tune in hoping for a reason to return to Jehovah will be reminded of how cruel and tone-deaf this organization is. Let's hope that due to this talk, the penny will finally drop for some, and they can at long last realize that there is never a good reason to abandon your child, especially not simply to appease the likes of Anthony Morris III and his colleagues. But anyway, that's all I have for you in this video. Please don't forget to subscribe to the Lloyd Evans channel for more such videos. And as always, thank you for watching.